I was drinking water, by the way, out of bathroom toilets. I've had to do it again.
I believe you.
I am a lady. I have had to go to the toilet on the side of the street in this country, and I was in a place the other day and I can't feel when I need to pee anymore because of some bastards that did a lumbar puncture on me in a hospital, and I actually peed all over myself in a room inside in a place I was in trying to get treatment for myself.
What happened? I recorded. I record. What's it? They don't give. Will you? Do you want to speak about?
I have a 60 grand a year job.
Do you want to speak? Yeah, go ahead.
A 60 grand a year job.
Yeah.
I got sick back in November. I started having seizures. I was treated as if I had anxiety for the last 6 months. I've had 10, if not 11 infections since I caught one in a hospital last December. I have been on 10, if not 11 rounds of antibiotics. I have a neurosurgeon, a stroke specialist dealing with me that thinks of anxiety, but I've had 3 lumbar punctures done on me. I have injuries from head to toe from falls. I can't use my right hand anymore. And since I had a lumbar puncture 2 weeks ago, I've lost control all down my right side. I'm in constant agony, and I keep getting referred to psychiatrists. I'm on benefits of €206 a week. I didn't get paid my benefits for the first 2 months. I ended up homeless. I couldn't afford my rent. I have a 60 grand a year job. I went back to work in March, I think it was, 2 weeks after a serious head injury that I'd spent time in hospital, paid taxes on that, might I add, and then ended up having blackouts consistently afterwards. My car gave up the ghost 2 weeks later. My father was funding me to go back to work because I don't get paid for at least a month of work. It was costing me €80 in fuel a day. I'm an agricultural liaison officer for Avison Young. I couldn't afford my actual fuel. I was commuting 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening, parking my car elsewhere because I couldn't afford parking. So I was doing this out of a homeless hospital in Dublin. Fair play to them, a free hospital, lovely people. Still wasn't get paid benefits properly. They switched my benefits in one office to an SW friggin' A because I asked for help of various organisations to pay my fuel to go back to work. I actually couldn't afford to go to work. My father was funding it for a finish. I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get ready to work, to present myself properly for my job. I wasn't getting home till 10, 11 o'clock at night. I was spending an hour then at night trying to get stuff together, and then various noises in the hospital, as you can imagine, because everyone's on different schedules. Back up again at 5 o'clock in the morning, paying taxes to this country with a head injury, blackouts left, right and centre. I was climbing mountains last October. I can't walk now. I've no control of my bowels. They're getting progressively worse. Since I had a lumbar puncture done last week, I don't know when I need to wee anymore. I actually weed all over myself 2 weeks ago. I worked for some of the top people in this country managing thoroughbred stud farms. I'm managing them worldwide too in racing and the top end flat industry. Really good people. Very responsible job. I've been managing that industry for 21 years and paid plenty of taxes. Never earned more than about 30 odd grand a year and paid taxes on that. And here I am homeless because I had no savings.
You're homeless today?
I'm homeless, yes. Okay. I've been homeless since the 27th of December because I couldn't afford my rent because of my health, and they didn't pay me my benefits till I wrote to the minister, Helen I can't remember her name, whoever the minister for social
Dara Brandon.
I wrote to her, whatever her name is, and funnily enough, about 2 weeks later my 2 months benefits came through, but I'd had a bad fall at the time because my balance was going. I'd fractured my wrist and damaged my 2 tendons on the way to a private medical appointment, and then what happened? Let me see, I can't remember. I've no memory left because I've had so many blackouts.
Okay, stressful, very stressful for you.
I've injured my ankles, my knees are in bits, I've ligament damage here because I understand orthopedics and everything to do with x-rays and things because I managed animals for I'm 43 years of age now. Since I was 10 actually I've been working, and since I was 12 I was having blackouts or head injuries. I've been kicked in the head multiple times by horses. I've had massive head injuries the last few years, and some bollocks thinks I've got anxiety in the HNC system, and every hospital that I go to in this county I get referred to psychiatric services. They don't tell me, but then I realise there's a security guard at the top, whatever ward
I would suggest you to to research torture psychiatry. Sometimes they use against people who've been political. They deliberately drug you with tablets to make you like a vegetable.
One guy has been involved in my care since the start, a stroke specialist here in Ireland, and I went to him for spinal decompression therapy for my neck because I've herniated discs in it about 2 to 3 weeks previous to that, and he was the first person I saw the first night I had seizures. He's one of Ireland's leading specialists. Imagine that, I should say. I can't speak anymore, my voice.
It's okay, you speak very great.
I had blackouts
you speak well.
All last week. None of my falls were of any description of narcotics or drink. I drink very rarely for my health. I've spent all my benefits as it came. But every time I write to a minister about my social payments, I get either billed for some kind of shite that I owe them, or else when they gave me the 2 months, I spent it all on. I was saving it for rent, to be honest with you, to get back to work, and I had to spend all of my health, because actually the bridge, I have 14 grand's worth of a dental bridge in my mouth that all my money went on for years. It fell out last week because of the amount of clattering of my teeth during the seizures, which apparently don't happen. They're all in my head apparently. And so thankfully I got that replaced. And also all these teeth fell out here. I had to have emergency dental surgery, which cost me nearly $800 at the time, or euros I should say. I spent a long time in America, a lovely country. And and yeah, and that is a result of, we've just figured out, because of the teeth clattering from the constant seizures I've been having for months. But some bollocks and the HSE still thinks I've got anxiety. Well, I tell you what, I had anxiety last week when 14 grand's worth of dental work fell out of my head. But it's all in my head apparently.
Yeah, I would like to ask a question.
Yeah, and I have an ankle injury that I got back in March when my balance was gone completely. I fell against one of those sort of like metal box things. That will not heal. They've x-rayed it in the hospital. They told me there's nothing wrong, but by Jesus Christ, there's a lot more wrong than fractures with an ankle. In fact, I fractured both ankles in the past. I fractured both feet. I fractured my tailbone. I fractured my ribs 3 times. I have fractured, I have TMJ issues from a car accident. I've herniated discs in my neck. I fractured this wrist. I've spiral fractured that hand. I have a scapupoid fracture there. I damaged all the tendons and ligaments there. What else have I got? I've had a lot of fractures, an awful lot of injuries through the years. And apparently all my health concerns are caused by anxiety. Imagine that. I have skin cancer too. See this here? This is a skin cancer lesion. I spent €250 in the private healthcare system last week, all my benefit money again, on a skin cancer appointment. And to be honest with you, I've been doing my best to try and forget about that. I try to cover it with makeup all the time.
Yeah.
But I've mentioned this in public hospitals. In fact, in one hospital I was in there lately, I was vomiting blood. And did they order an endoscope straight away? No, they didn't. They pumped me full of IV paracetamol, IV PPIs, and IV, what was the other thing, anti-sickness medication, because I couldn't stop vomiting. I went in there because of concussion symptoms, and they sat me in a bed, and I had an infected foot for over a month. I have an infection in my foot for over a month, a tiny nick I got while shaving my toes, unfortunately, which are hairy, but that's like Irish Celtic blood, and it will not heal. I have showed it to every HSE office, I have a hospital that I've been into in this country. Not once has it been bandaged by a nurse or doctor. Not once have they prescribed a single drug for it. Not once have they done a single thing for it. I've had to go to GPs and bandage it myself. I'm a qualified first aider twice in life. In fact, in most of my jobs I used to help people that were injured, and horses, and mentor young people for a lot of my life. So I understand injuries and wounds. It's about the only thing that's keeping me alive right now. And I have not been paid my benefits again for last week. They were paying me SWA.
Did they give you a reason why you're not paying your benefits?
We don't have enough staff, or we don't understand. And I've been to every intro office in the
you're not paid social welfare at all.
No, I get my benefits whenever they feel like paying them to me. Usually I write to a minister, eventually somebody sorts my payments, and then boom, they send me a bill for something from ages ago, or they do some kind of
what kind of bill, for example?
Well, initially when they gave me the lump sum payment, eventually after 2 months, I was drinking water, by the way, out of bathroom toilets. I've had to do it again the last few days.
For what reason?
And I was walking miles to NGO offices. I haven't talked to.
Could I ask you a question? Sorry. Could I ask you a question?
Yeah. Do you know what they did? Do you know what they did? They went and took. I was on the pup for a while. Yeah. And because my job had finished, and I applied to loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of different places for jobs and couldn't get a job, and then this job came up, and they took, and I actually contacted them to say that I think I'd done an overpayment and everything. And then when they finally gave me the 2 months payments, what did they do? Oh, departmental mistake. They went and took the overpayment that they made a mistake out of it. But for 2 months, their excuse to not pay me benefits was that there was a mix-up.
Could I ask you an important question?
And whatever.
Could I ask you an important question? Just
no problem.
The question is here. You said you're drinking water from the toilets and water
from actual sinks in bathrooms.
Because there's not water facility.
Water.
So there is no free water.
I couldn't afford water.
So there is no water stations at the moment for homeless people.
And you know what? Here's the other thing. I've had to go to the toilet on the side of the street because my bowels have stopped functioning properly the last few months. The more neurological issues I have, the more I fall over. Now I always had a bit of a problem with stuff down my right side. I had massive damage down my left hand side from a car crash years ago. I've actually had to use, believe it or not, and I'm a lady.
I believe you.
I am a lady. I have had to go to the toilet on the side of the street in this country, and I was in a place the other day and I can't feel when I need to pee anymore because of some bastards that did a lumbar puncture on me in a hospital, and I actually peed all over myself in a room inside in a place I was in. London trying to get treatment for myself. That's what this country has done to me.
Just a minute. I actually wrote today.
That's what this country has done to me.
I wrote today a letter to Minister of Housing, Dara
I
Brand.
wrote to them all. I've been writing emails to all the TVs.
Do you like the joint campaign? Do you like joint campaign? My campaign against. I am fighting for water for homeless and toilets, public toilets, because there is no public toilets in evening time, and there is no water facility for people. Even in Rome, in Italy, in Rome, in Italy, basically it's a water everywhere in Rome, and it's 6 million population in Rome. It's entire Ireland, and
Sistine Chapel, the most extraordinary thing I ever
and you
seen
actually
in my
can
life.
drink water for free, you know, and the toilet's the same. In Belfast, by the way, you have toilet facility for free. My friend was in Belfast, she's Irish, and I asked myself a question, why we don't have public toilets for people, for most vulnerable,
In order to use toilets in any restaurants or things or bars or anything here, in general you have to buy something, and a lot of the time I didn't have money, so sometimes I'll just go in and buy a bottle of water, or I'll buy a
which
coffee
is expensive when you...
It's very expensive when you don't have the money. I was saving it all for my health, just so I could use the toilet without being harassed by security. Now, to be honest with you, I get harassed by security guards a lot because I can't walk anymore.
I know.
I look like I'm on drugs or I'm drinking, which what everybody wants to do in their lives is up to their own business. I don't judge anybody in life. If anybody wants to take drugs or do whatever, that's completely their business. It does not bother me in the slightest. But I get followed everywhere, every shop I go into, every train I go into, because people assume that I'm drunk or off my head on drugs because I can't walk properly anymore. I'd start out okay in the morning, and by the evening I'm falling around the place. I've been robbed 4 or 5 times here in the last few months. I was robbed in my own bedroom inside in a hostel the other morning, and they won't give me the CCTV footage to show me who've been 150 euros worth of my cosmetics and everything that I'd spent my hard-earned money on for years was robbed. I've had my phone robbed, I've had my wallet robbed, I've had my bag robbed. I can't
Could I ask you a question about what response you got from Minister in relation to your letters?
I got no response from any single minister of any description in this country. I have an email thread called Woman in Dire Straits. I have sent emails to every TD, including the Taoiseach, most TDs, including the Taoiseach, since last February. I have had no response for any TD or any minister in this country.
Yeah, of course, definitely. Paul Lennon is my name. We'll publish all the photos.